Welcome back to the Leadership Factory. This is a space where we explore practical, research driven insights that help leaders think clearly, lead wisely, and build healthier organizations. I am Dr. Emmanuel Toye Shobande. This week, we are going deeper into something that looks healthy on the surface but quietly destabilizes organizations from the inside. And that is the topic, the hidden risk of harmonious leadership. The hidden risk of harmonious leadership. You see, I was invited to facilitate a strategy session at a company's leadership retreat, and something revealing happened that stayed with me. During that retreat, I watched as the CEO presented a bold 3-year growth strategy. Everyone in the room nods in agreement. No reviews, no questions, no resistance, no tension, no objections. The proposed growth strategy plan passed unanimously. 18 months later, the company is restructuring. Now, here is the uncomfortable part. Nothing in that room was dishonest, but something essential was missing. And what was it? The silence that felt like alignment was actually avoidance. The agreement that looked like unity was self-protection. Last week, we talked about the quiet crisis in leadership, how success can insulate leaders from the truth they most need to hear. This week, we're going to go deeper. Silence around leaders is rarely accidental. It is engineered, often unintentionally, but engineered nonetheless. The most dangerous leadership environments are not hostile ones. Yes, they are harmonious ones. Harmonious environments. The ones where dissent has slowly disappeared. In high-performing organizations, authority gradients widen over time. As leaders accumulate wins, influence, and visibility, people become more cautious about challenging them. Not because they lack courage, but because they calculate the risk. The risk of losing access, the risk of losing a promotion, the risk of not belonging, the risk of losing their influence with the leadership. All of it feels tethered to proximity with power. And the human nervous system will prioritize safety before it prioritizes honesty. You see, organization psychology research is very clear here. Psychological safety, not comfort. And more importantly, the perceived absence of punishment for candor is the strongest predictor of team learning and innovation. Yet, many leaders mistake an open door policy for a safe culture. An open door is not an open system. A true system requires structure. Watch what happens in most executive meetings. The leader speaks first, then senior executives follow with supportive refinements. Then the junior voices scan the room and they adjust accordingly. What looks collaborative is often a choreography of hierarchy. Over time, the organization learns something. Agreement is rewarded, friction is costly to your career. And here is the critical insight I need leaders to pay attention to. Leaders rarely intend to create this environment, but intention does not neutralize impact. So, how do you rebuild a truth system? How do you rebuild a system where people tell you the truth unhinged? It begins with conversational sequencing. If you are the leader, speak last. Don't speak first. When you withhold your view initially, you reduce anchoring bias. When you explicitly invite counter arguments before summarizing the conclusions or deliberations on the table, you signal that dissent is not deviance. These are not symbolic gestures. They are structural interventions. Equally important is your visible reaction to dissenting challenge or a dissenting voice, because that reaction imprints the culture. For example, a tightened jaw, a defensive clarification or explanation, an immediate rebuttal. Those micro signals travel faster than any policy memo. You see, but when you respond with something like this, tell me more about what you're saying. Something shifts. Something shifts in the mind of the people on the table. The nervous systems in the room recalibrate. Candor begins to feel survivable. Truth systems also require distributed accountability. You see, in many organizations, upward feedback is episodic and sanitized. Annual surveys dilute sentiment into percentages. Real-time honesty evaporates. Leaders who are serious about truth build recurring feedback loops. They rotate red team roles in strategy discussions by assigning someone with the responsibility to critique assumptions. They normalize post-mortems that examine decision-making process, not just outcomes. This is not contrarianism for sport. No, this is protection against blind spots amplified by power distance. One of the most revealing questions you can ask is this: what are we pretending not to know? Yes, what are we pretending not to know? Take a pause. That pause will tell you everything. Revenue may be climbing while culture erodes. Engagement scores may be stable while innovation stalls. Surface success can camouflage structural fragility. For board level leaders and governance executives, this is profound. Governance is not merely oversight of results. It is the oversight of information flow. If dissenting data cannot travel upward without distortion, strategy becomes speculative. You are operating on filtered realities, confident but yet misinformed. So, reflect honestly. When was the last time someone publicly disagreed with you? Do your direct reports challenge you in real time or only in private afterward? If a high potential leader sees a flaw in your strategy, do they believe speaking up will advance their career or endanger their career? Your answers will tell you whether agreement in your organization is authentic or adaptive. Rebuilding truth systems requires emotional steadiness from the top down. You must separate disagreement from disloyalty. Mature authority is not threatened by scrutiny, it is refined by it. And here is the paradox: the stronger your ego attachment to being right, the weaker your organization becomes over time. Here is your practical application for this week. In your next strategic meeting, intentionally withhold your perspective until others have contributed. Ask one person to argue the opposite of your preferred direction. Play the devil's advocate. After a decision is made, state explicitly that future data contradicting the plan is welcome and not inconvenient. Small recalibrations, cultural transformations. Remember, truth is not sustained by personality, it is sustained by architecture. If you want candor, you must design for it. You must protect it and model resilience when it arrives unfiltered. Your team is watching. They are watching. They are studying what happens to the person who speaks up. This week, I want to give you an assignment. Identify one assumption you are currently holding about your organization's direction. Invite two trusted colleagues to critique it rigorously and honestly. Do not defend it. Listen without interruption. Then Publicly acknowledge at least one insight that reshaped your thinking. That is how you normalize truth. Agreement feels efficient, but the truth is this: applause feels affirming, but neither guarantees truth. Neither of them guarantees truth. Leadership is not measured by how many people nod in agreement in your presence. It is measured by how safe they feel telling you that you may be wrong. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, leadership is not just about making decisions. It is about creating environments where truth can be heard, trust can grow, and people can thrive. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your reflections. You can connect with me at contactme@toyeshobande.com. Also, if this episode challenged you, share it with another leader who values substance over applause. Subscribe for more conversations that move beyond performance and into structural leadership integrity. And stay tuned, because in our next episode, we will continue exploring the deeper human realities that shape leadership effectiveness. Until then, keep leading with clarity, courage, and wisdom. And this is the Leadership Factory. I'll see you